Please help me. No, I haven't used it at school.
Where's her?
She walks into a middle school classroom, jacket slung over her shoulder, backpack in hand. She smiles at the students, starts the roll call, and thinks no one will ever know. But minutes later, everything begins to unravel. In the hallway, a student notices something. The office is alerted, and within moments, the police walk in. What she thought she could hide suddenly becomes evidence. What really happened inside that Vermont school on October 1, 2025? And why did a substitute teacher's unseen mistake become the story of the year for one community? It begins in the quiet morning at Barr Unified Union School District's campus in Bartown, Vermont. The school named Bartown Middle and Elementary School. A substitute teacher, 47-year-old Melissa Martin, also reported as 42 in some filings, arrives early. She is listed in police communication as a permanent substitute who has worked for the district for about 3.5 years. She takes her place in the classroom. Students arrive. The morning routines begin. On the surface, nothing appears out of the ordinary. But behind that composed facade, a secret. A jacket hung over a chair, a backpack tucked under the desk. Inside, according to later police reports, rising tension begins when a student notices something off. The young person is in one of the classrooms, maybe the back corner math room on the second floor, per police radio traffic. They observe behavior that doesn't fit. The teacher fidgeting, feet moving, seeming overly animated, legs restless. The student alerts school staff. She's high. The administration acts. That moment, what no one expected, becomes the turning point. Before classes let out for recess, the school resource officer and EMS are called. Reports say it's around 10:49 a.m. when officers arrive at the school. The classroom is emptied, halls cleared, the jacket and backpack are sitting unattended. It's supposed to be a safe environment. Instead, it's about to become a scene of shock. Here's where everything changed. The officer enters the empty classroom. He sees the jacket draped over a chair. He sees the backpack under the desk. He knows these items belong to the substitute teacher. He radios that a K-9 unit will be needed. A sniff test will determine whether the items contain narcotics. At that moment, the narrative shifts from suspicion to forensic action. The investigation picks up speed. The K-9, named Lakota, alerts on both the jacket and the backpack. The white powder inside the jacket tests presumptively positive for cocaine. Martin has already been removed from the classroom and is being evaluated by the school nurse and EMS. Her vital signs, heart rate elevated in reports around 130, oxygen saturation 98%. The classroom is sealed. Students are sent out to recess. The police secure the evidence. Meanwhile, in the hallway, Martin is visibly distressed. Tears, apology, "I'm a bad person. I'm so sorry." The nurse takes her vitals. She sobs, "My family is going to be..." The officer gently says, "You're not a bad person. You made an unfortunate choice." Then comes the arrest, or more precisely in this case, the citation. Although no formal arrest might have been immediate, law enforcement moves swiftly. Martin is transported to the hospital for evaluation while police continue to process the scene. The charge? Possession and reckless endangerment. The reckless endangerment count stems from the fact that the alleged cocaine was in a classroom setting with children present, or could have been present, and unsupervised. Next, pretrial drama. On October 9th or 10th, 2025, Martin appears in a Washington County courtroom and pleads not guilty to the charges. The court imposes conditions. She is prohibited from returning to school grounds, the district has taken personnel action, and she faces the possibility of a warrant if she fails to appear. The media coverage intensifies. Parents express shock. One mother, Brittany, says her son looked visibly shaken and upset. He said his substitute teacher was clearly on drugs and was acting crazy. The superintendent of the district, Joanne Canning, states the teacher's background checks, required by Vermont law, came back clean, both initial and subsequent. She said, "We did not see anything." On the defense side, Martin's attorneys argue she did not use cocaine on school grounds. In her interview, she claims she consumed before arriving at school, in her car or at home, but maintains she did not use at the school. She admits she had cocaine in her jacket pocket though. She said, "I had it in my pocket in my jacket. I had my jacket on and I wore it into the school." Prosecution counters the timing, the visible impairment, the location of the jacket in the unlocked classroom during school hours all point to use or possession within the school environment. An experienced narcotics investigator testifies that cocaine hits pretty quickly and usually wears off in a couple hours, meaning that if she used before arriving at 8 a.m., she wouldn't still be visibly high by 10:49 if she had used that early. Key evidence becomes the jacket, the backpack, the canine alerts, and Martin's statements to EMS and officers, each element stacked on the next.
Witness testimony. The student who first reported the behavior becomes central. His courage to speak up starts the chain of events. The nurse's log, the EMS documentation of Martin's vitals and statements, the school administrators clearing the halls. Each piece forms a mosaic of what happened that day. Parent statements highlight the trauma experienced by the class. Cross-examinations focus heavily on Martin's credibility. Her claim of using prior to school, her claim of restless legs and anxiety, her admitted possession, her prior clean background checks, her actions once removed from class. The K-9 handler is questioned about how the alerts were conducted and whether contamination is possible. The defense attempts to argue that presence of cocaine in a jacket doesn't necessarily mean use on site, and that Martin's nervousness could be unrelated to drugs, yet the prosecution points to precise timing and location. Closing arguments. The prosecution asked the jury, or court if it's a bench trial, to imagine a classroom filled with children, a teacher under the influence, a jacket with illicit substances, and to ask what could have happened. The defense asked for compassion. Yes, she had a lapse. Yes, she possessed the substance, but she didn't deliberately endanger kids. She didn't use in class. They argue reckless endangerment requires proof of risk, not just mere proximity. Verdict and sentencing. As of the reporting date, Martin has pleaded not guilty and the case remains pending. Details of any further hearing, plea negotiation, or trial date have not yet been publicly released. Resolution and aftermath. The startling thing here is how quickly a student's simple concern, a teacher behaving oddly, led to police, EMS, a K-9, charges, and the district investigation. The case raises questions about school safety, background checks, the responsibility of substitute teachers, and the literal risk of controlled substances in learning environments. The jacket that sat unattended in a classroom becomes a symbol, the hidden danger in plain sight. Why the judge and community noticed? Because this wasn't just one person's mistake, it was an entire system's potential failure. One adult's decision, one moment of concealment, exposed vulnerabilities in what schools presume: trust, supervision, safety. That's why the lie collapsed so fast, why the story exploded, and why it matters beyond Bar Town. This case wasn't just about cocaine in a classroom. It revealed something deeper about oversight, accountability, and the fragile assumption of safety in schools. Do you think justice was truly served here? What moment shocked you the most in this courtroom? Leave your thoughts below. If you found this script compelling, please like the video, comment your reaction, and subscribe for the next deep dive into real-world justice.